Tonight's podcast is sponsored by Foxy Faces Spa in Glendale, the Valley's go-to spot for facials, massages, lash extensions, makeup, and full-body waxing for both men and women. They are located at 51st Avenue and Union Hills. You can get half off your first wax treatment. You can reach them at 602-300-4044. Also, their website is www.foxyfacesspa.com. They're also on Instagram and Facebook. Book your appointment today, as you deserve to treat your beautiful you.
Tonight's broadcast is sponsored by Heather McPherson. As you follow the path of awakening and enlightenment, perhaps a move is part of your next step in your journey. I hope that you will take a moment to reach out and see what Heather can do for you. Heather McPherson of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Arizona Properties is an active member of Phoenix Metaphysical Community and a realtor. She understands your needs and honors sensitivities that are so important when selecting your space to call home. Whether selling or buying or renting, Heather will be there to personally walk you through the process from quality to closing and beyond. Call Heather today at 480-203-8712 or text Heather also at 480-203-8712. That's 480-203-8712. Heather today. Call her today for an equal housing opportunity. Tonight's podcast is also brought to you by...
Tonight's podcast is also brought to you by Harry Kroner, Catalyst of Spiritual Awakening, with offices in Scottsdale, in Prescott, and online. Please visit harrykroner.com for more information.
Welcome to podcast number 12 from Beyond Today. My name is Rod Lyman. Welcome, everybody. How's the crowd out there doing tonight? Good. Say something. Be lively. Yeah, there you go. Be a little lively. What a great night we're having tonight. It's a little warm out there. It was like 107 degrees today in Phoenix, Arizona.
111.
111? Wow. 111.
That was wishful thinking.
Yes, I guess so. I guess being up this morning at 3:20, I didn't really get to see this 111 you guys are so speaking of. Well, I'm happy to say that was podcast number 12. Isn't that amazing? That's awesome. Dirty dozen we got going on here. To my right of me, I have the lovely and wonderful Zach Lyman, our producer. What a great guy for coming out here and doing this for us, putting this all together for us and everything. That's what, everybody say hi to Zach.
Hi, Zach. Hey, Zach. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. And to my left, that was interesting. That was a Freudian slip. To my left, I have this wonderful, beautiful Cynthia Mooby.
Ooh, tonight I'm Cynthia.
Tonight you're Cynthia.
Cinderella, Cynthia, hi.
Well, it's funny. Cindy said the other night when I introduced her to one of the other podcasts, she goes, "It's Cinderella." And I was like, oh my gosh, Cinderella's on our podcast. So I had to say Cynthia and that. Well, and who do you have to the left of you?
The left of me, I have Harry, and he's going to be our main guest tonight with lots of great information about the fifth dimension.
Thank you very much. Harry. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Harry. Awesome. And we have a special guest that always stops in. We love having him around us. He's a great, wonderful man. He's loved by many and that. We've noticed that on his YouTube videos and that, how much he's loved by and that. And so, man of the hour and a great friend of mine that we've roomed together many times and just enjoyable to have up here.
Thank you, Rod. I'm going to cut in before you say anything else. This is Mike Hegeman, and I'm glad to be back with you. I've been on the East Coast for a few weeks, and back. Rod and I got to teach a Karuna Reiki class here on Saturday.
Oh, the master
Reiki
class.
Master Class, yeah, and that was an excellent day. A lot of great learning going on, but it's really good to be back working with you and to be part of the panel tonight. So it's always a thrill.
We always love having you here.
Thank you very much.
Just
Rod.
enjoyable.
Yeah,
I'm
welcome,
looking
Dr.
forward
Mike.
to just meeting Harry Kroner here tonight, and this is exciting, and to see Cindy again. So glad to be here.
Thank you.
To
Love
see
you.
Cindy again? What's that? I mean,
Thank you.
he didn't say anything about loving to see me or anything.
We missed Cindy on Saturday. She wasn't able to come to the class, and that's why I was saying it's great to see Cindy.
Gotcha. It's just because
It's not all about you,
You I've
Rod.
seen already. Listen.
Yes, poor Harry. He has no idea what this banter is all about. He's like, "Can we just get on with this? I have a lot to talk about tonight." Well,
Right.
Harry, what are we talking about tonight anyway?
So there's a lot of talk about all the ascension and all that is happening now in this period, this monumental period of time in Earth's history and humanity's history. So moving into the fifth dimension, and it's been talked a lot. And so I want to actually go down and share and talk a little bit of what it feels to actually do and what is it that's really happening to us as individuals, moving from the three-dimensional existence as we know it and moving into the fifth dimensional, transitioning into that, and how it is actually living in the fifth dimensional level of awareness of consciousness, which is quite fantastic. So I want to share a little bit about that.
Good. Can I ask a couple questions before we get into that? Mm-hmm. Is there a certain number of dimensions there is?
That is debatable. So I'm simply not going to go into it.
Oh, nice.
Because it is so many different opinions about it. And again, I would leave it as opinions. And because we, from our place that we are here in the third or fifth or sixth or seventh dimension, wherever people have gone to, are able to reach, even those who are more open among us that reach 11th, 13th, 15th dimension, they always know that there's an abundance and amount that goes further. Some say 144, some say 12. So it is something that is I simply do not have the access to that full knowledge, and I think in our level of existence, it is hard to know exactly how many levels of consciousness are above us. Same as it is hard for a 4-year-old to understand what it is to operate as a full adult. It is simply incomprehensible. So on the same level, I think it is, we shouldn't really worry about or concern ourselves with too much of how the exact number and what exactly is in each one of us. The point is to allow ourselves to go and experience progression, growth, and spiritual growth, and the amazing evolution of humanity that we are in the midst of as we speak.
Oh, I love it. So basically what you're saying is that we're not putting labels on this. We grow as who we are and as we are. And we shouldn't worry which level or dimension we're in at that time.
Right. This is labels and categorizations that the mind wants to have.
Right.
But it's not necessarily for the soul to have. And as we know that who we are in higher and higher aspects of ourselves, we already know that. And if you think about the one thing that is certain is that the higher we go, the closer we are to Source. And this is really what's the point, is to allow us to know that we have the ability and we have the knowing that we are part of that immense being that is that is Source, and we are now doing this wonderful jump back into the Source and wonderful monumental growth, and as we grow into it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So Harry, I've heard you use a couple words here. Ascension is one of those it's a big word, and do you equate the term you're using, ascension, for this movement from third dimension living to fifth dimension living, or is there more to ascension than that?
Well, the word has been used in many different ways, and it's some people like the word, some people don't like the word. Again, it's a label, it's a word. It is growth. It is a graduation. An ascension is simply the movement towards to higher and higher versions of yourself. So if you allow yourself to simplify it and let go of all the labels it has. That's why another reason that I don't like to use the word God, for example, because so many people have so many charges to it. That for them, it signifies so many different things. So that's why I like to use the word Source, because it is neutral of any charges, cultural charges or personal charges that people might have.
Great. So I don't know how. I mean, I think you've got a lot to talk about tonight. But if you could give our listeners a little bit of background about yourself, what was life like before? Have you always had this kind of deep spiritual connection or broad spiritual connection, or have you? What has been your journey that you can tell us kind of quickly here? But what's your journey into moving into the work you're doing now?
Wonderful, thank you. That's a perfect question, a perfect segue to this understanding that. For me, it is a continuous process. No, I wasn't fully open. You can say even 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I started reading about, in my 20s, started reading about different things, New Age kind of books and stuff. It really opened me. I knew wow, I need to be doing this work. It's a progression. And as I reach now at this point, and I'm talking about this fifth dimensional living and level of consciousness, and this is fairly new to me. This is not something that I've been, you can say that we all are kind of oscillated in the past few years, since 1987, really, where it kind of brought to us this increased level of consciousness and awareness, it's bigger energies. I have been part of the process of internal expansion, but for a long time, but it had reached a certain pinnacle in the past year, and I've received upgrades that have completely moved me from the constant moving back and forth between feeling great, feeling I'm connected, and feeling all that stuff, and back to kind of, you can say, reality of the three-dimensional living of I have to make a living and still living in fear. And this is what I want to explain here, because that this is a personal journey that I've explored and felt and lived. So moving it and really living in a different operating on a different level of consciousness on a constant basis is something that is, again, it's only in the past year that I have really kind of fully graduated into. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, and know that I have the power and the ability to help people and reach that place. So when I really feel what does it symbolize to be in that process, I want to first of all ask people, and I'm sure all of you have experienced some sense of what's called, and when I'll go into detail about it, what's the kind of ascension symptoms or symptoms of moving into different places. And let me explain a little further. When you guys think of when you experienced a certain sessions of clearing, and I've experienced plenty of time with my clients and on myself, when you experience an upgrade of energy, what is it that you feel? Sometimes people have positive response. You feel like an elation for a few days, and then some other stuff suddenly come up, right? So if I consider from the panel, from the crowd, if you have any experiences like that you have gotten lately.
Well, I think I look back maybe sometime in the last couple of years. It was really interesting. One of my students at one point, she came up, she says, I have a word for you. She goes, I have some information for you. And she said, you're supposed to go home and rest for 3 days. And at the end of those 3 days, you're going to get a download. And I was like, okay. I think I was familiar enough with the terms, but I looked at her and her sincerity, and I said, I'm going to do exactly what she said. I mean, that information came through so clearly. I went home, canceled everything I was doing, and went to bed for 3 days. And at the end of it, it was exactly the 72 hours. And I said, okay, Spirit, I'm ready. And right at that moment, I felt this incredible pressure. It's almost as if the barometer had shifted in the room, and I was being, something was weighing me down in bed. I mean, just the air all of a sudden got very thick and heavy, and my head, something was like somebody was pressing down on my head, just energetically, and all I could say is some big energy came in, and I'm still trying to unravel what that all was. That wasn't that came through with a great clarity. But yet some of the same experiences was great affirmation that moved in exactly as somebody had predicted. I felt elated about that, but yet there was some frustration as a sense of that was something big. And over the next few days, I was both exhausted and energized, and still trying to unravel what that big thing was.
Very good. Yes, that's a perfect example, because you go through that process of feeling fully energized, and then you're feeling exhausted, and a lot of things that happens as we do this, and I've experienced it myself as well, but a lot of my clients have reported that, and a lot of people that I meet in my groups and everything, they say it. For example, we have just experienced the Lionsgate, August 8th, And the week before that, I was feeling surprisingly low, and that was just like, I knew it was something to do with that, with those cosmic energies that are coming to the earth now, and what it opened, and the portals it opened, and the clearing and cleansing of karma, and all of humanity that goes through. So I felt that kind of a really low and low energy, and felt like as if I'm going through even a slight flu symptom. But I knew it wasn't, because it just, as soon as it did that switch over, suddenly I felt like, whoa, that's it. I moved on. I feel like I'm back to myself, back to my level of energy. And it happens to a lot of people, and especially now, and a lot of people are going through a lot of upheaval. And I just spoke to a friend of mine on the way here, and she was saying that it was interesting to feel that suddenly she's working on herself in a beautiful way. Suddenly she felt an enormous amount of grief. That came out of nowhere, just sitting down on the couch, suddenly feeling an enormous amount of grief. And she knew that wasn't any grief that she's feeling at the moment. It was something that had to do from 10 years back that suddenly came out. She's like, wow, I thought I really took care of this. I really healed it and on so many levels. But it feels like as if now it's the last time, as if we are at a point right now, all of us that are reaching that place of it, like we're taking care of things and clearing it, from scraping the bottom, taking all of it out for the last time, kind of getting the bottom of that, of all the layers of the onion, and getting that end of it, and clearing it all out of ourselves.
I love that. Is this also part of the manifestation? I mean, to
Yes.
be able to manifest within that part. Because, I mean, for me, that's something that what you just said, and that a lot of my clients have been talking about being in a cement truck, and being in all the muck on the bottom and everything else, and they slowly come up out of the muck and everything else. And we talk about that as they slowly come out of the muck, and all the muck is running away from them, drawn away, and that they get up to the top, they're feeling really good. They're feeling at the height of happiness. And I say, that's a part that you manifest. Mm-hmm. And that's a part when everything is working for you.
Yeah.
So the one thing you should manifest, though, is not to go back into the muck.
It's not about going back to the muck. This is a bigger phenomenon that is taking place right now, because this is unique. We are in a really unique situation that we are not only progressing and ascending to a different level of existence with our just consciousness, as people just leave the body and they leave and move to different dimensions like we've done so far, but it actually is we're doing it in the body.
Right.
And that is unique. That is special. That is something that hasn't happened in a very, very long time. And not only doing it with the body, we're doing it with the entire earth. The entire earth is ascending. The entire earth is moving into that next level of itself. So we're doing it in a combination that is unique. And what is happening right now is we are clearing not only our own karma, our own baggage. It comes in many different ways. If it's physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental. We're doing clearing. We're doing a whole house cleaning. So it's not only like a general cleaning of your weekly cleaning. You're going deep here. We're going to all the little corners. So this is a cleaning of the soul of all levels. Not only that, but we're clearing all of that, the karmic, not debt, but karmic weight and charge that humanity have created for itself in the past 10,000 years. So we're not only clearing for all the civilizations, all the stuff that happened, but also Atlantis and beyond. So this is a major level of clearing. And sometimes a lot of the clearing, as Dr. Mike can attest to, is not only clearing on this life, it's other lives that need to be cleared. And we're doing it all at once, because this is part of moving in through the fourth dimension and into the fifth, is everything is happening on the now. Right. Everything has happened as we are, and we become timeless in that way. And people, I think, can attest to that. A lot of people who are doing this transition can attest to the fact that you feel that you are suddenly become really space, and everything just kind of happens now. But it is kind of hard to schedule, hard to do things, how to move yourself about through the linear movement of time as we have experienced it in the past. So we are transitioning into more and more feeling it in the now. So as we are going through this as individuals and moving through this all kinds of symptoms. It's headaches. It's flu-like symptoms sometimes. It's sometimes there's nausea. And again, it depends on what chakra you're releasing it from. And again, we're doing the service right now for the entire lineage of our ancestry. We're doing that service for the entire lineage of as a soul, of our lives that we experienced on Earth and beyond. So it is really an amazing process. So that's why we're going through this feeling of that it's a little tumultuous, up and down. But there is a way, if you start really working on it and moving yourself in a clear, more direct way, moving out of this process. But it just needs to be clean. It needs to be clean, purified, cleansed, and rinsed out of you, out of your energy, out of your cells, out of your cellular levels, out of your, again, consciousness overall, and all levels of your energy bodies to be doing in order to move to the next level. We can't move on with this baggage. We have to let go of it. We have to leave it behind us in order to move further.
Now, has this ever happened before, Harry, that you know of? In our lifetime or before?
No. This is something, again, we are here, and every one of us should feel ecstatic, the fact that we are here. We have chosen as people in this time, in this place, in this moment, to experience it. Our souls have made that decision before we even were born to come here and be in this part, being part of this, experiencing on earth, being the front line of experiencing it. It has not occurred, this level of movement to a whole new dimension, as far as I know, in this universe. Actually, this is probably the first time. And this is why we are gathered not only by our human experience and just direct cosmic waves that are, as we know now since 2012, are more aligned with the galactic plane. And we are receiving a lot more energies. And it's usually a cycle of 26,000 years. This is just basic astronomy. And we are now at the point that we are receiving a robust amount of energy that is helping with the whole Earth and moving it into the next level. And so it is receiving. Now, what is unique about this is that as we do this, as this enormous amount of energy is being sent to the Earth, there's more motion within ourselves that needs to be adjusting to that frequency. So we are really naturally, without even making any effort, are moving the whole Earth and us moving to that next level. However, again, it is hard if you're doing it without any awareness or consciousness of how it happens. You just feel like you are just, again, like going and feeling that it's just very tumultuous energies. And we can see it in everything we see around us as it happens. It feels like, and it's just a feeling that everything's becoming more extreme, more accentuated in our experiences. But it is really just a reflection of what is taking place inside of us and in overall, and all that is the Earth and everything that is taking place on all dimensions and all levels.
So let me just back up for a second on this. So what you're saying is we chose to come here with all this garbage that's we carried along with us from lifetimes, basically. We chose that to carry it into this so we could dump all this while we're here, basically. But we're getting the energy from the celestial beings or whatever, energy from above to help us do this.
Right.
So we're not just clearing our path from, like normally in our ancestors that just cleared what they grew up with. We're taking our lifetime of it in our past lives and everything. We're taking everything that has been in our DNA and we're cleansing that to be able to move forward. Is that what you're saying? Absolutely.
You got it. And it's not only that, but we are actually in our DNA. We have, again, they really don't know much of what's in the DNA, and especially not on an energetic level. But a lot of it is, DNA means other parts of it is activated or not, and we have so much information in there that is untapped on. And in this process, what we're doing right now, a lot of it is being activated, and a lot of the downloads that you have mentioned is activation. Not only necessarily, it really is, a lot of it is codes and activation codes for dormant DNA. So a lot of it is, if we feel that shift that we are experiencing in frequency and in levels of consciousness on the cellular, on the quantum level, as it shifts from just like you can say human DNA that we have experienced thus far, been moving into a next level and activating sequences that hasn't been activated in thousands of years, or at least not in this body. Again, this is unique in the fact that it is activated in this way. And the purpose of this activation is and those downloads is to raise yourself in you can say in steps, because I'll give you an example of radiation, because it is energy. If we go into the sun and we're just like, no, white as can be, and we go to expose ourselves to the sun, if we don't watch ourselves and we do have too much exposure, obviously we're going to get from the radiation of the sun, the ultraviolet radiation, we're going to get it burnt. And it's just that it's not going to be absorbed well in our bodies, and our bodies does everything to renew and release it. But if we do it on a nice step-by-step and go into sun exposure in 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, and we just develop the melanin in our skin grows stronger and stronger, and we can get a tan, right? In the same way, we are as frequency as our body, we start moving, and it's really hard. You can't do it a humongous jump without really. You can't. You're just going to burn your body as far as the frequency, the energy in it. And so allow yourself to know that we're doing it in increments. Now, as we do this in increments, a lot of it comes as opening the DNA, as more frequencies come to us, more understanding. And all those people who are aware of this are starting to work on themselves in some way. But there is a way of doing it and moving yourselves into bigger jumps that are still controlled and are still not going to burn you or have you really feel fried. Because I've seen that happen. People who are, and I think you've seen like some of your experiences with energy because you were doing so many years and do excellent energy work.
Thank you.
It really is. You can see people are receiving too much energy, and it's just like they get burned. Their aura is getting a little damaged, and all the different things, all kind of phenomena. Like they feel like the detox, and this is really what it is. It's a detox.
So that's what it sounds like to you. We call it energy sickness, and that people go through. And what everything you describe in that is an energy sickness, and that
Absolutely.
is a detox of your body. It's the Twinkie thing. You know, Twinkie, we always thought that little thing was really good for us until we started shoving good stuff for us. The Twinkie stuff comes out.
Oh,
That's the detox.
Yeah.
No, I think it's pretty enlightening. I'm listening to you because I can now put some framework to my own life. You know, as I've gone through this lifetime and discovered the links to other existences of my own, you know, I would call them past lives, but I came to the understanding that I came into this lifetime to clear all the others. And so I'm hearing you say that tonight. I'm like, oh, so I'm not the only one. And that's a very comforting thing, saying, okay, we're all working on this, of letting go of the past and making that quantum leap to say, in some ways I've come to that quantum leap of thought to say, it's only one lifetime. And what I achieve in this lifetime affects all those others. Absolutely. It's like I'm unplugging from the drama in many on energetic levels and emotional levels, all of those, unplugging from the drama, and I can affect that entire existence. And I'm grateful that I have help in this process too. That's what I hear tonight too, saying that this isn't, that I'm not alone, and nor anybody else who's going through these major, growth in thought and kind of leaps of consciousness, or just emotional growth. That's what I'm going through. I mean, you said this right this time period, in August and July, August. I've been letting go of old anger and guilt and unforgiveness. Every emotion is coming up, and I thought I dealt with that. I thought I dealt with that. And I like that your image of you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's all coming up, and it's a real comfort to me to say I'm at a good point that I'm reaching the bottom of the barrel. So I'm finding a lot of comfort from that, and I hope others can too, to say everything you're saying is like there's a big global plan, and each of us, we may feel lost in our own little worlds as we're going through this, but we're actually part of a bigger web of being as this happens.
Absolutely. This is exactly it. And we have to make sure that people don't feel like that they are the only ones struggling, because I see it in so many of my clients and my groups and people and friends that are on the front line. You can say the light workers, that the people who are moving forward, and you can see that it's just everybody's experience. Suddenly, like everybody's calling me like, hey, I had a really bad about a few days, and they don't see it because it's just they talking to me. But I suddenly get like 12, 15 calls, like something is happening. This is more than once, in more than one location, more than one place. This is a phenomenon that it needs to be acknowledged that this is taking place. And a lot of people, as you said, like they feel bad, like, oh, why is this coming up? Why am I have to deal with this again? And no, this is good stuff. And it's important to know that you need to let go and cleanse and heal those emotions on the most profound way. And I do with a lot of my clients is a process of emotional wisdom and really learning what is that. Because every emotion has something to teach you, something about, teach you about yourself, about, again, so you can move further, so you can clear it, leave it. And it's not about, again, avoiding it or just throwing them out. It's about really making peace with them, understanding what they're here to teach you, and that will allow you and enable you to move further. And that is the lightness, that people feel lighter and lighter, and you feel lighter and lighter. And that's part of the raising of that frequency, raising of your own consciousness. It's just feeling lighter and lighter and lighter, and it affects all aspects of your life. I'll just give a basic example of how it is to be in that space of where a lot of people are busy now clearing fear, because fear is obviously the worst part, and it expresses it in many different ways. So first of all, let me explain what fear is. There's no we're used to so much of duality, and that's also something you just need to shed out away. There's no more duality as we move forward. People think it's like, no, one end is love, and the other side there's fear. That is really not true. If you think about it really in the most profound way, there's only love. And there's love, and it's like as far away from love as you can be, which is fear. And it's just it's the absence of love, really. And if you think about on how it relates to you, when you are feeling fear of any sort, you are feeling disconnected. You are feeling don't feel any love. You don't feel, so it's all the effects of the absence of love. Same as in physics. There's no heat and cold. There's only heat or the lack of heat. So scientists have helped us understand that more clearly. There's only love. There's only love as one emotion, and the spectrum of emotions that come in as we slowly move away from it. As we come to understand fear itself and how it reflects in people's lives, it comes in many different ways. Not just like fear, like obvious fears of snakes and those lovely spiders and everything, but it's really the fear of not only fear for your safety, which are very clear and primal, but it's also that constant nagging noise in your head of like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for a job? What am I going to do? What about the kids? What about? It's all those little those fear thoughts, and realize how much of your time you're spending in fear. Inside your thoughts, inside your feelings, what others will think of me. All this judgment. Judgment is, again, another, if you really think about it, another form of fear. Because if you were being completely loved, you will have no judgment within yourself or to others and all that stuff. So it's that clear motion away from that fear. And this is the biggest thing. When I went to Marconics, the Human Upgrade, it's called. It's an energy work that is really, really wonderful, high frequency. When I went to
say that name again.
Marconics.
Marconics. Okay.
Marconics.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
You can check more information about it at marconics.com.
Right.
And when I returned from the teacher's training, which I received a beautiful upgrade, beautiful. I was feeling like it was actually a little hard. Because I was like, it was so much that I couldn't. It took me weeks to process it completely. But when I started understanding what I processed, I realized I am free of fear. I am completely free of fear. It's as if you're completely upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and you like suddenly there's no more glitches, no more of those thoughts. It's just a thought. Again, I'm talking about even like little. You think of fear, little worries, little concerns that you have in your life. All worries, concerns, anxieties, all that stuff is simply non-existent, and it's really hard to explain it. And again, even a year ago, that it will be hard for me to comprehend it, to not even have those thoughts in my head. Not having this part of my regular process, of my, and if you think about fear, it's like it sits in your body, and for every one of us, it sits in different places in the body, and that space, and for me, and it's just simply no longer clinched. For me, it was my solar plex mostly, where I held most of my fear, and every time I release, and again, it's a process that I've been doing with myself and working myself and colleagues and clearing myself of all the different types of fears from again. Many different places, but it really is amazing to exist without it, and it's hard to describe. But even things that in the past have caused me anxiety, suddenly a drop in clientele, and it's like, ooh, how am I going to pay my bills? Yeah, it's something I need to deal with, but it is becoming just something that I respond to, and I don't react in like that emotional charge that comes with it. And it is amazing to shed all those emotional charges from me. And because before that, I have that kind of image that I like to give to my clients as if you're wearing a vest with buttons and everybody can push your buttons, And I know it's funny, isn't it? But it's but everything pushes you, whether it's traffic, whether it's people, certain people, and they know they have those little things that they push in you, and you're like, oh my God, this is tough. And it's always they always do it to you. Suddenly wow, it just doesn't trigger it. There's no more trigger. It is absolutely fantastic to be free. And again, it's liberated from that weight that is holding you back. And as you do, another way, and it's really important to understand that a lot of it in the process of moving from 3D to 5D, and I do that a lot. I work with the higher self. Because let me correct myself. Higher selves, because there's many aspects of our higher self. Higher self is not one thing. In every dimension, as we rise higher, there is at least several representatives of your higher self, and the higher you go, the more they become a we and become a council and become further and further, expressions of your higher selves. So when you allow yourself to start integrating and again, this is part of what I do with people, allow them to understand that this is a relationship that you need to start and develop. This is not just a one thing or a few experiences with the higher self. It is really something you need to do. And through Marconics, it is amazing that you can integrate into the body through and I think a lot of it's just a matter of understanding, but I think a lot of work, such as the work you do with the Blue Star healing that you do,
absolutely,
it is you see that people suddenly receive an enormous amount of something, and suddenly they're altered. So it is, as I understand it, really aspects of the higher self, of higher consciousness, that it suddenly is enabled and can be embodied, because the frequency of the person can now withstand higher and higher aspect of the self. Okay, is that understood?
Yep, absolutely.
Because you when you raise the frequency of your body, you are actually increasing your consciousness, increasing what you can withstand, what you can bring into it, and more again higher expressions of the self. So that connection and developing that relationship is something that is essential to everyone, and it comes in many different ways. But when you start realizing, I'll give you an example. That even I do some automatic writing and channeling in that way. I've been doing it for several years now, and it took me in the beginning. It took me a little while. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it took me a couple of minutes to focus and ground myself and open myself, my consciousness to higher within, and do a process. And so that it felt like sometimes either I connect, sometimes I didn't connect, especially in the beginning. And then it's to grow it into an easier and easier process of just really doing a quick focus and tuning in and going into that frequency. Again, it's just like a radio frequency that you just tune in and allow yourself to do so. And at this point, I really don't have, it's the thinnest of veils. I just have to sit down and I start channeling. I don't need any more connection and to raise my frequency because I'm already there.
Well, Cindy can contest the same thing. That's been happening more and more to her too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
Yes, please.
I was just about to ask the same thing. I was looking over at Cindy. I said, a lot of this, what you're describing, I've been witnessing Cindy going through, so I want to hear from Cindy.
Yes. Yes, she's been coming out of her little cocoon lately, too.
Yeah. Wow. Where do I start? Well, first of all, I'd like to just say my experience of my ascension was through a spiritual lightning bolt in person. So I'd like to say that even though I felt like my experience through this new realm was, to me, pretty strong and harsh, I think I did a pretty good job, and I had a lot of good friends helping me through. I just want to say there's no reason to be fearful of this when you are going through this transition and ascension. For me, I just felt crazy out of my mind sometimes. I didn't know what to do, where to go, and I was hot and I was cold, and I couldn't eat, and I suddenly couldn't eat certain foods. I was shaking all the time. The vibrations inside were just going crazy, and this, it's been about a handful of years now. Finally, over the last several months or so, it's calmed down.
You are reaching a certain point, and the body is adjusted.
Yes.
And that's really the crucial part of it.
It truly is. And I still vibrate now, but I don't shake. And Dr. Mike and Rod know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think you scared Mike at one of the first Reiki shares.
First Reiki share when I didn't know him, and poor guy ran out of here.
But not really. He didn't run out of here.
Anyway, so what the gentlemen here are getting me to, the point here also is that I have been over the recent months here, weeks maybe even, I'm not sure, have been, like, as Harry just said, feeling things and seeing things automatically. And I just feel I can go within myself instantly and feel the beautiful love that is within me that other people can feel from me. And it's just really super amazing. And the phenomenons and the miracles and all this beautiful things that have been happening to me and around me is just amazing. So thank you.
All synchronicities, and when you start really being in that higher frequency, higher vibration, higher level of consciousness, it is just everything starts to fall into place more. But again, there's an adjustment period, and again, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. Like knowing, like, okay, that's okay. It's part of the process. I need to allow it. But there's ways of making it easier and easier, and allowing that to be smoother transition. And again, you are lucky enough to have the help of Rod and other practitioners in here and beyond today, and friends I know that you have to help you in this process. But it's something that doesn't have to be that hard either.
Well, hold on. I'm not sure about that sometimes. I think the universe has its own ideas of that.
Well, it's a process, but again, everything, and I'll give you the example of you can have an earthquake that is 9.5 earthquake that destroys and annihilates everything around it, or you can have a series of 5 or 6 point on a Richter scale earthquakes, and they both will achieve the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Eventually, the motion of the Earth or what it needs to accomplish will reach the same place. And it's just a matter of does it have to be like intense and it's also a matter of personal style. And I've seen people who have that. They choose, like, they want to be slammed, like, oh yeah, just give it to me. and it's a personal, maybe not even your consciously, but of your higher self that just likes that, like, yeah, let's just do it. Yeah. And so I've seen it. And for example, my personal style is more of a more moderate transition. Even when I get downs, I know, like, oh, okay, I'm feeling I'm going to get another one in 24 hours, another one in 72 hours, and it's going to be a more moderate steps. Mm-hmm. Instead of one big slams. So,
I hope other people can experience the
it's
and
both
not the slam.
Yeah,
but it's okay.
It's okay. It's all okay as long as you allow yourself to know that it's part of the process, and I'm just trying to allow myself to ride through it. And now, as you said, like, now I feel like I need to shift the way I eat. That's also important. Mm-hmm. And listen to that. Listen to that internal guidance of what's happening. And some people, actually, it's the other way around. They suddenly feel ravenous to something that they haven't eaten in a very long time. And that's okay, too. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to understand that this is part of the process. But as we... Go ahead, you want to say? As we move in this... as we move into again... this is part of what I try to offer to my clients, is to know that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, and just knowing you're not alone is, I think, it's one of the big things I want to send out today is knowing that you're not alone in this process, and it's okay, and you can get some help, and you know that or take the time for yourself to process it and be with it and allow it to flow through you, even if it's like deep emotions, a certain physical sense. Take the time, unschedule.
So, I'm thinking about, folks out there who may be listening and going, I don't know what these people are talking about, but I'm drawn to it. So do you have any suggestions for people who may find themselves at least feeling like they're at the beginning of this process? They're saying, this is really intriguing to me. I think I know what they're talking about, and I'm feeling some kind of nudges, but I don't know where to start. You know, do you have a sense of this podcast can reach people all over the world. So we're thinking, how do we help people who may feel isolated where they are, to begin the process of saying, okay, you just said I'm not alone, but I feel alone and I don't know where to start.
Okay. I feel that this is my mission right now. This is what I'm here, and it comes to me in a very clear and conscious and directed manner that this is my purpose. This is what I'm here. I am a way shower, like many of us already are way showers, to guide people through it. And I did recently, because I really had that, again, a few more downloads, to get much better clarity on me developing a full program, a full 6-month program of helping people go through the entire process and getting the downloads in an organized and again, responsible way, getting downloads, getting the information, getting the ascension, moving, clearing and cleansing and rinsing and purifying yourself of all those weights of emotional baggage from traumas in this life and others, and all the ways of thinking, and clearing the way of thinking, clearing yourself. So there's much help you can get, and it doesn't have to be through me. It could be through others. But as long as you feel drawn, like, okay, I want to do this, I want to go do that. But it's when I finally got that, because I was doing so many bits and pieces in my past as far as different healing modalities and different things, and suddenly now I reached that place. I mean, this is where it's going for. This is where it is moving to, and moving into allowing people to evolve in a supported and clear way that will move them and will help them go through the steps and not feel alone. And I can reach all over the world with beautiful electronics now that we have, and computers reaching through the internet and into every place in the world. And I have clients internationally as well. So it's beautiful to feel that. I know that I can help and move people forward. But I also want to have one more big message here for people, is knowing that we are part of that energy that is getting absorbed on this earth. We are part of the process of energy getting absorbed. The more that we are in higher and higher frequency, the more that can be absorbed into the earth too. We are part of the grid that is around the earth, that a fifth-dimensional grid, the crystalline grid that was developed here and now is fully formed, that enables the earth to receive even more. So if we want to see, and I know that people are out there, what can I do? What can I do to move forward? The biggest message is, as individuals, to raise your frequency to the highest level you can, and remain in that higher level of frequency that you can. And so if you think, how can I help the earth? How can I help? You can help in many different ways. But first of all and foremost, allow yourself to increase your energy, be in a higher frequency, and when you are projecting it to your environment. And you don't have to be a light worker for that. You can be like an accountant. But if you are bringing that amount of light and frequency to your work environment, to your family, you are influencing the earth. You are becoming a light. You are becoming a point inside that grid system that is actually, instead of just absorbing those cosmic energies, you are becoming a source of energy yourself. You're becoming a generator of that frequency, of that energy. So I'll give you a more easier metaphor to absorb here. It's like us in an electrical grid. Everybody, we have to receive electricity, but suddenly becoming just a user, you are moving, and suddenly you put solar panels on your roof. Okay, so it's feeling like that. You're moving into instead of just becoming an absorber of energy, you are moving into becoming a source of energy, and you are providing energy to the grid. And so when you have solar panels, imagine yourself, and the more frequency you have, the higher the frequency you have, as if you're having a solar farm. And you are now actually bringing juice into the system, and you're giving it more than you're even receiving.
Absolutely.
So it is becoming that part of the grid and becoming that energy source. Another metaphor I like to give it is instead of being just a pitcher of water, and just giving water to the people around you, and you suddenly feel depleted, there's no more water, you need to become the fountain. Be completely connected and allow the energy to flow not from you but through you. And allow that to be continuously fed. And as you do, you are actually feeding and helping the entire humanity and Earth to be in that process. So as you are going through it, and many people will be called and feel that energy in this conversation, that being called to be not only become in their own individual lives, but also becoming a way shower, becoming a guide for others. And I'm developing now a process of people who will become guides in these sessions to others and become, you can say, kind of teachers and movers of people into that place. Not only doing it myself, but helping others to help others. Because right now it has to happen now. It has to happen in this moment and as soon as possible. So become part of the solution, not just an experiencer, which is an amazing thing by itself, and be ecstatic that you are an experiencer of this, but also become a part of the solution. And as we do this, I offer again a 6-month program which you can move yourself individually, but you can also become part of the solution as becoming an ascension guide yourself, and also learning about Marconics, the human upgrade. And I'm going to have an exposition. I'm going to have a table. People locally can come and see that and experience it themselves. But also, I'm having a class in October, which I'll be teaching and having people experience integrations of their higher selves in the class as they go through the class and attunements into the higher frequency, and help them go through it, and they in return can go and do it to their clients or further to their families and everybody around them, and again become part of the solution of this process, having a bigger way to impact the soul.
That's amazing. I hate to do this, Harry. I have to cut you off here. And then we're running out of time and everything else. So I just wanted to ask out there, does anybody out there have any questions before we wrap everything up? And that anybody got any questions out there? It's a lot of information thrown at you tonight, and that, thank you guys. It was amazing. That Mike, is there anything you wanted to add to this?
No, I'm excited to. I know we're going to continue this conversation, because I think what we're learning tonight. There's lots here. It's big. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm sitting here processing, thinking about my own experiences in this lifetime, and as a teacher, seeing what people are going through as well, and kind of excited at saying, "Oh, there is a way forward," and I really appreciate that, and the work that I've done both with Cindy and Rod, and seeing their work that they're doing, seeing that it's all fitting into a bigger picture. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you,
Cindy. Anything you want to wrap up?
I do. I'd like to. This just came to me. Fear not what's ahead of you, but embrace what is ahead of you in your future here. It's a beautiful path. This ascension is amazing. Don't fear it, embrace it. And we are so blessed and lucky to be living in this moment in our lives in this world, to experience this dimension growth. So embrace it. Thank you.
I love everything there's a lot of information here. I kind of went away for a little bit because there was so much information, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be processing myself in that. But this makes a lot of sense. I mean, imagine going through this, and then we have 5 planets in retrograde, and then the Lion's Gate coming out. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a lot.
And the full moon.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that people are having to deal with right now.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing is that, when we look at people and say, you know what, you're not alone. I mean, that has been the biggest help lately, is to tell people, you're not alone. And, even the people that are unique and want to be unique and want to be alone, no, you're not alone. People are going through this process.
Yeah. Can I just quickly add to that? People like Rod and I and Dr. Mike and Harry and many others, of course, we have already had a lot of experiences in our handful or better years of our lives. And that's why we are here. We are here to help you through our experiences, to help embrace your experiences now and to come.
Very good. Now, I'd like to end with a beautiful metaphor that I think is really will resonate with people, and it's how we feel right now on the earth as a total, and humanity and overall, and ourselves as individuals. It feels like we're a building in renovation, and at first it feels like it's just getting destroyed, and it gets annihilated and kind of stripped to the bone. And but it looks terrible for a little while, but then it gets renovated, it gets upgraded, it gets to look even better, fancier, and this is the process we're in. So allow yourself to know that this is a good thing. It moves you into a better place. You will be better.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Mike, you got anything coming up here?
No, Rod, I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things after being gone from vacation.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks. I'll be traveling again throughout the fall, doing lectures in places like Tahoe and Maine. I'll just be out and about. So I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to the stuff.
Do you need a guest to go with you?
Always. The suitcase is always big enough for you, Cindy.
Yeah,
So.
thank you.
Must be nice to be little. Harry, what do you got coming up here?
Well, I do have, as I mentioned, Marconics class that I'll be teaching with a co-teacher of mine, a friend of mine, Ben Guevara, and we both will teach level 1 here in Phoenix, at my office in Scottsdale, and that'll be in October 1st and 2nd. So for more information, just check my website at harrykroner.com, and if you want to leave any comments or anything that you want more information about it, just go into contact page on my web page, and you can just send me an email.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. Cindy, what do you got coming up here?
Oh, Beyond Today has several things coming up. We have a fair coming up this Saturday, August 20th from 4 to 8. We are calling it the Hot August Nights. As we told you, it's 110 today. Other than that, Beyond Today always has some fun, beautiful classes and people teaching classes and things going on. I personally, if you live here in the Valley or in the suburbs of, come and have an energy treatment with me and with the different colors. I have colors. The vibrations of colors are so strong and beautiful and loving. And if you don't live in the Valley, fly on over and have a treatment anyways.
There you go. Nice. Cindy, always a pleasure. You also have a color class coming up here, too, that you...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Rod.
So check our website out at beyond2day.com, and for any upcoming things, Cindy and I have some beautiful open heart meditations coming up here on Sunday. Every other Sunday we are doing that. It's fun. It's a blast. It's energizing to do it on a Sunday morning.
Real quick, you'll
Really?
never know what will come out
Oh, absolutely.
of you or any of us in the open heart meditation.
Well, but it's perfect with this fifth dimensional living that we're going right through, living right now. That you come to an open heart meditation, and who knows who's Cindy is channeling at the moment, or I'm channeling at the moment.
Absolutely.
It's just awesome because it's a Rolodex of beautiful energies that's come through. That also have some Reiki shares coming up here. Check out other stuff up. We have Reiki classes and just some beautiful stuff. We're located at 11223 North 28th Drive, Suite F101, Phoenix, Arizona, 85029. Our phone number here is 602-374-4926. Our website is beyond2day.com. It's beyond2day.com. It's always a pleasure. Love having you guys here and that.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Good night, Mike. Good night, Harry.
Good night, everybody. Yep.
Good night, Cindy.
Good night, Zach, and guys, thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here once again, and love and blessings to all.
Really quickly, Harry, we want next week. Can you come for our next week podcast?
Absolutely. I love it.
Awesome. No class, no people. Good. You can be here. Awesome. Come join us for next week's podcast with Harry and that. Mike will be here, I'm sure, that you'll still be in town, right? Good. Awesome. Thank you, Zach. Good night, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.